Hi, welcome to Rein It In,
I'm Matt,
and this is Rachel.
and we're sitting here on a porch. We kind of missed the sunset a little bit while we were messing around with these microphones.
Well, that's not true. I mean, we missed the sunset a little bit while we were driving, but we're sitting on a porch, importantly, in the far north of Georgia.
Yeah, up near Blue Ridge, Georgia.
Yes, quite near Tennessee and North Carolina. Matt will refer to it as South Carolina at least once during this episode. But we're in the tri-state area, and we hit all three states today, so that's what we're going to tell you about.
So with all the COVID stuff going on, especially with increased numbers pretty much everywhere, we decided to try to get out of Atlanta to do a little bit of a safe social distanced getaway.
Right.
And we found a little cabin up here outside Blue Ridge. Pretty nice, away from everybody.
Yeah.
Seems clean. It had good reviews. Actually, it didn't have any reviews, but it looked...
didn't, yeah.
It looked clean.
It was maybe one of our first Airbnbs that we've ever stayed at that just didn't have any reviews.
Yeah, no, but the people who run this one had reviews for other ones that were pretty good.
Yeah, and it looked nice, and it has actually worked out quite well. So we've done episodes on North Georgia before, but we're in a little bit of a different area of North Georgia. So I think the last time we did a North Georgia episode, we were kind of in the northeast side of Georgia, and now we're more in the northwest side. So we're closer to Tennessee and North Carolina, as opposed to North Carolina, South Carolina, which is where we would have been in the last episode.
Yeah. And, but yeah, it's pretty nice. It's got a nice porch. We got a nice view of the mountains. Are kind of off in the distance a little bit, but it's a little secluded. It wasn't too hard to get to. It was only about 2 hours outside of Atlanta.
Yeah, and the road coming in here was, I mean, I didn't love doing it the first time in the dark, but it was still okay.
Yeah. Super windy. There's like two hairpin, literally double back on itself turns. But it's, it's all 15 mile an hour, so it's pretty easy.
Right. I've started wisely, I think, taking Dramamine every time I come up to North Georgia. Actually, just like in general, since I drive so much less in COVID, like I basically get car sick anytime I get in a car because I'm just not used to it because we hardly ever drive anywhere.
Yeah. So we came up, we're taking a 4-day weekend. I'm actually changing roles in my job and kind of, Rachel's
semester's over,
finishing up the semester, so we decided to do a little bit of celebrate here and just use up a little bit of vacation time.
So we're here for 3 nights, which is why we came a little bit further away. Like a lot of the time, a 2-night getaway, you want to stay closer into the city so you don't drive as long.
We do anyway.
I mean, and this was only 2 hours, which is not that far, but some of the time we find places that are like an hour, 90 minutes, something like that.
I mean, pretty pedantic, but it was like about 2.5 because we had some traffic. There was some car accidents. Probably in normal Atlanta traffic, it'd be like 8 hours to get
right, yeah. But COVID, there's less traffic.
Maybe 3 or something. But it's nice. I mean, we were planning on just sticking around the cabin the whole time and not doing anything, not seeing anybody.
Which is what we did yesterday.
Right. But today, weather was a little bit nicer, sun was out. And we realized, I hadn't realized until yesterday, that we were 30 minutes from both Tennessee and North Carolina. And so I thought, hey, this is fun. We should just at least go drive around a little bit and hit 3 states in 3 hours. Right. So we ended up going to McKaysville, Georgia, which is on one side of the border, and on the other side of the border is Copper Hill,
Tennessee. Yep.
Yeah.
And they are, I mean, you can straddle the line, and you'll see this in the Instagram photos for this episode.
Might even be the episode cover. We'll see.
And so you're right on the border. You can stand in both states if you so choose.
Yeah. And while we were still trying to do what we could to stay distanced from people, we did stop into a couple of breweries and a winery to just try some local things and support some local businesses. The first place we stopped, it was interesting. On the map, it shows it in McKaysville, Georgia, but the address is Copper Hill.
I think so. Well, because it's Copper Hill Brewery.
Right.
So, and the state line actually ran through the middle of the brewery. So you
Right.
could stand on one side of either state while you were inside the brewery.
Right. So, like, sort of purely coincident, we walked to the end of the bar where nobody else was standing and ordered there. Well, that was also where the menu was, or the beer list. And we were technically in Georgia when we ordered and paid, and then we walked back to the front
To drink
sit
our beers.
sort of, separate from everyone near the front windows, and we drank our beers in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I would say that was the highlight. That was by far the best.
That was the best beer,
Yeah.
definitely. And, I mean, we hit 3 places today, 2 breweries and 1 winery. And, I mean, North Georgia wineries are always kind of hit or miss, right?
And I would say any kind of...
Any tourist winery is kind of hit or
Yeah.
miss. I mean, I suppose unless you're in Napa, in which case it's still probably hit or miss. So this is, we'll talk about it in a minute, but it's by no means the worst wine that I've had in North Georgia. But I will say the Copper Hill beer was, I mean, we didn't do a taster. They didn't actually seem to have flights. I would have done a flight, but they didn't have it listed up there on the menu,
Oh, yeah. We probably could have asked,
which
but-
is too bad. But
Yeah.
I drank a porter and Matt drank a session
And
IPA.
Session IPA. They were solid. That was some of the better beers I've had this year.
That porter was really good. It was like nicely smoky. It wasn't super sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So
The folks there were nice. They were raising money for a local food bank.
Right.
It was kind of nice too. I wish they had a little more outdoor seating.
they didn't have any outdoor seating in, I mean, it's December.
No.
There was a front sort of porch area, but it was closed. And so we did end up having to sit inside. But we got there at 1 o'clock. We were basically one of the
Yeah.
only couple parties in the very large
Yeah, we were at least
indoor space.
30, 40 feet away from anybody else.
Yeah.
I
So
don't
it
know.
wasn't-
Didn't make me
it
feel
wasn't
awesome, but
ideal, yeah. And no one there, none of the people behind the counter were wearing masks.
yeah, some of the other guests.
Some of the other patrons were when they came in. Obviously, once they sat down and were drinking beers, they weren't. But they all chose like relatively sort of, I'm going to say isolated, but that's not quite right. But I mean, like separated spots, yeah.
But that's a place. I don't know. Well, hey, we might come back to this cabin, right? We've been searching for. We've been talking about the perfect North Georgia cavern.
Maybe the perfect one's in a cavern.
Maybe and we've always found a couple things that have been not terrible. We've stayed at probably half dozen cabins in North Georgia over the last few years.
Yeah.
And all of them are fine, except for Spider Cabin, which we talked about last time in our travel fails.
That was not fine.
But other than Spider Cabin, which now has a hot tub on the porch, which
With
one
all
would
the
hope they got
spiders.
the spiders under control.
Oof.
This one's ranks up pretty high.
It does. I will say the nice things about it, it's got a screened-in porch, so it's, pretty, I mean, also it's December, but it's pretty bug-free. You wouldn't have to worry about mosquitoes too much, I suppose, during the summer. I actually did yoga on this porch yesterday, which makes me sound like a way more bougie person than maybe I actually am.
Or maybe you aren't.
Maybe, yeah. I did it in my terrible plaid pajamas, if that makes you feel
It was the only floor space big enough to actually be able to stretch out.
So it's 2 bedrooms, which is obviously bigger than we need for just us. But neither of the bedrooms are huge.
No.
It's got a nice living room. The kitchen is entirely functional.
Yeah. Couch is nice. There's a fireplace that doesn't quite. The chimney doesn't quite. Chimney as well as one would hope.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of kickback of some smoke a couple
Yeah,
times.
the house gets kind of smoky. So, and there's no smoke alarms in the
There
house.
is. I realized last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think right outside the bedrooms.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
probably good. It's a little bit far enough away from the fireplace so it doesn't go off on accident.
Right. Or because your fireplace is filling your house with smoke.
Yeah, it wasn't filled with smoke, but
no,
it was definitely a bit.
You can definitely
could
smell it. I think you can smell it on my clothes even.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I do that's a pretty minor complaint. I think it's pretty solid. I wonder if I'm going to do laundry tonight.
Oh yeah.
There's a washer dryer.
We've talked about this. Rachel is obsessed with coming home with clean laundry if she can.
Yep.
I don't know if there's detergent or anything.
There is, yeah.
Is
I did check. Anyway, yeah, I play a game to see how many clean clothes I can come home with from any given vacation.
So after we left Copper Hill Brewery, which if you ever happen to be in North Georgia, it's a little bit north of Blue Ridge, Georgia. Super solid, nice folks. They were nice. I wish they were wearing masks, but I know there's like plenty of charged conversation around that. In
more rural parts of Georgia
and then
Tennessee.
We took a little walk around the dual town. Killed a little bit of time, and then we stopped by. And
it was a nice town. Like there was a little like mall, so there was like interior space that shops were off of, which is what a mall is. But I mean, it was like a little like individual, like a small business owner shops mall.
Yeah, it was like a little Riverwalk shop area. We didn't go inside. We only walked around the outside.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it was like
not COVID.
Yeah, I mean, in not COVID times, like I definitely would have gone into shops and like checked things out and probably bought some Christmas ornaments and, but that wasn't an option for us today. I mean, we were, COVID is all about sort of picking and choosing and managing your risks. And I mean, we decided to go to a couple breweries. Only one of the places where we were at, we had to sit inside. But I decided not to go into any shops.
Right. And so the second place we went into, second brewery, was Buckbald Brewing, which I saw the sign down the road when we were doing our first walk, and I was like, oh, it looks like there's just a gas station and a pawn shop down there, so let's just cut across and go the different loop. And then we realized that the Esso station was actually Buckbald Brewing. So we went into that one. That one had 100 5-star reviews. Or 5 stars of the 100 reviews is what I should say. I don't know if they're all 5 stars.
I mean, probably. The other, I mean, Copper Hill had 4.9 stars, so they both were well reviewed on Google.
And Buckbald, cool place inside. But again, we only, we wore masks. We went in, we ordered, we got our beers, and they had a good number of tables outside. We had some space that we could be separated from people. And the beer selection seemed interesting. Beer, in my opinion, wasn't quite as good.
I think it was better at Copper Hill, but it was by no means bad.
Right.
And again, I didn't do a flight. I just did a porter again.
You got a porter
I figured I'd roll with the same thing. The thing that I thought was cool there was like they had a whole wall of mugs for regulars, so you could put your little tag on your mug and then just come in and pick up your mug, and you probably buy into a club or something, and so you get discounted beers or whatever. But
another couple came in while we were choosing our beers. Again, proprietor and most of the guests did not have masks on.
Right.
Almost everybody was sitting outside. The only people that I saw that sat inside actually had masks on. When I went in to go to the bathroom, I think, or whatever.
The people waiting for the bathroom were wearing masks. So,
but yeah, the other couple came up. He was just like, "Oh, go ahead and grab your mugs," and they got their mugs. It was just kind of fun.
It was, that was really cool. I've never seen that before. I mean, I've obviously seen beer clubs and Wall of Foam is what they had in Bowling Green for people who drank all of the beers in the place. But yeah, I'd never seen anything like that. So that was cool.
And so we were taking our time, especially at the outdoor place, because I felt like a little bit in a rush at the indoor place. Outdoor place, we hung out a little bit longer. We played Castles of Burgundy, our dice game,
which I'm sure we've talked about before.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. I think we're gonna have to buy it a third time because we keep using all the sheets. The sheets.
Yeah.
And then after 2 beers, I wanted to get a little bit of food in my belly before we got in the car. Hit the road. So we grabbed some food at a place called Rum Cake Lady. And it was Cuban food and rum cakes.
Yeah. So there's actually one in Blue Ridge, it looks like, too, but then also McKaysville?
Yeah, that was on McKaysville. Oh, and it was right across the street from me. I almost forgot about it.
Oh, right.
We saw billboards for, and then right across the street from Rum Cake Lady was, what was it? Drugs and Guns.
Drugs and Guns, yeah. It's a pharmacy and gun store.
Yeah, North Georgia. Wow.
Oh, so we'll post a picture of that
Yeah.
too.
My favorite part, though, is one of the billboards we passed on the way there from the cabin said, refills or reloads, we've got you covered.
Yep.
Oh, boy. So, a little bit outside our normal thing for being city folk, but
Yeah.
I kind of appreciated it all the same.
It was a smaller and less like imposing building than I expected it to be. I expected it to be kind of big and warehousey, but it was like a relatively small strip mall.
Yeah, it looks like it
kind
could have
of
been
location.
an old bank that
Yeah.
was turned into a drugstore.
It does for sure.
Yeah.
Drugstore and gun store.
And drugstore and gun store.
Yeah.
But I will say, Rum Cake Lady, we got a Cuban sandwich and split it there.
Mm-hmm.
Super solid.
Yeah, it was a really good Cuban.
Yeah, it was good.
And we have some rum cakes that we're going to have for dessert tonight. We have not tried them yet.
Yeah. Nice place about Rum Cake Lady. They had a really big, like, picnic table outside. Nobody else was there.
Mm-hmm.
We could eat outside. We only had to go into order. And got some croquetas that were okay.
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. The sandwich was the highlight.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the rum cakes.
And they weren't wearing masks in there either, but...
No, right, yeah.
They were behind, like, plexiglass.
Yeah.
So...
Right. So, we'll see if we get COVID after this trip. Hopefully not. We're crossing our fingers.
We'll report back.
To
you, our valued listeners.
Yeah, exactly. So, after, resting it out a little bit and walking around a little bit, we jumped back in the car, ate a heckload of
Whole Foods
Cheetos.
Whole Foods spicy Cheetos, essentially. I don't know what they're called exactly, but
good.
They are good.
And then we decided to drive into North Carolina.
Yep.
And we were going to hit a winery, but we'll take a quick break and then we'll tell you about that.
Yeah. We drove from those two breweries while eating our Cheetos, our fake Cheetos, to a brewery that was, or not a brewery, a winery that was in North Carolina. And I didn't check to see if Google said it was open. I just looked at it on the map. It definitely wasn't tagged as closed because I did note those. I just think it didn't have hours listed.
Right.
And this is important as we get to the next portion of the story.
Right. So, but it was a nice little drive. It was a windy little mountain. Not even windy. Like a slightly curvy mountain highway. Mm-hmm. Reasonably flat. We jumped off that main road, took some little bit of side roads, and we took a Rapist Road. Which,
No, not Rapist. Raper.
Raper Road.
Which is someone's last name, I realized. Yeah, because we crossed William J. Raper Bridge. Yeah. So, poor guy.
Yeah. But pulled out of this place, and that place was called, what is it? Notley River Valley Vineyards.
Yes.
I think is what it was. We got to it, and the map was like, up ahead on the left. And there were no signs.
Yeah.
So that didn't necessarily bode well. We pulled in, there was two cars, there was a truck and a car, and there was two people, maybe three people.
But one of the cars was from Alabama, so
patio.
I was like, there might be people here. It's just not very crowded.
Yeah, it was a nice building. I wish. So, anyways, we pulled up, and as we pulled up and parked, older gentleman walked out to greet us, and I was like, "Hey, afternoon. You one of the owners?" And he was like, "Yep." Unfortunately, and I was like, "Are you guys closed? Are you guys open?" He was like, "No, we're not." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So, but they had closed in October.
Like Halloween, end of October. So, and he said they almost always close for December anyway.
Mm-hmm. They closed a little bit early because of COVID restrictions.
Yeah,
he said.
Because they couldn't have very many people in the tasting room, and it's not reliable that the weather's going to be as beautiful as it was today, it was like 60 and sunny today.
Yeah. But nice view, nice place. The guy was really pleasant.
He was.
Chatted him up for a little while. We talked about the vines, like when they harvest and
what kind of grapes are growing. And,
different things they make.
Yeah. So, he was pleasant. I would certainly go back there.
Yeah.
I think
I tried to convince him. He said we're only open by appointment. Sorry, just to cut you off.
That's
only
fine.
Open by appointments for bottle sales. And I was like, can you take an appointment for today? Or I was like, can you take an appointment now to sell us a bottle of wine? He was like, no, can't today, unfortunately. But I wonder if North Carolina also has like Sunday.
They don't, because he said he was normally open on Sunday, but he just might not have any bottles like even
ready or
stocked,
something.
right?
Yeah.
Like, so I would certainly go back there. It seemed like a nice space. I'm sure there are probably signs when they are actually open that would lead you to them.
Yeah.
So that was our only North Carolina stop, though.
Right. I know, and it was barely even a stop. I mean, we were maybe there for 10 minutes. Oh, a bee landed on the front of my glasses while we were talking to the guy. I think it was a bee at least. I saw or a wasp or something. I saw wings.
And I didn't. I was paying attention to the person we were speaking to, not to you.
I
So
didn't lose my crap too bad.
Nope. It was okay. It was a little bit of.
I have to appreciate too that, there weren't like a ton of Trump signs at any of the places we went to.
Right, because last time we were up here, we did leave a vineyard or a winery that had a bunch of Trump pen signs.
Well, but it was also, and this was right before the election. Totally fine, understand, but it was like. There was like 40 Trump pen signs, maybe 25, but that's still a lot.
A bunch
for a 30 square foot area,
a business
out front of the business.
too.
Yeah, so we pulled in, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable going in here.
Right,
and then we couldn't find a parking spot, and I was like, we're leaving.
Yeah.
We actually found a pretty cool place after that. I don't remember what it was called.
I don't either. That was more like Jasper area, Georgia, closer into the city. But yeah, they were not as yeah, we can't even tell
crazy.
You
who all they were. So, but yeah, no, it was saw some Ossoff signs, saw some Trump pen signs, right? But an interesting mix. I think what it probably does prove is that the election in Georgia was likely not a fraud.
Right.
I mean, it's been certified by how many Republican?
Things seem very, very
officials.
split when you drive around and look at people's signs. They really do.
Which is significantly different than 4 years ago.
It's true.
We stopped briefly, chatted up the guy, had some weird connections in similarity. Like he had a family member who went to Georgia Tech. He had a daughter that lived in Colorado. So anyways, it was kind of nice, pleasant little chat.
That only matters to you if you know that one of us works at Georgia Tech and we used to live in Colorado.
Exactly,
So
jump back in the car.
Right. And decided that we were going to hit a comic shop, actually. Because when there's a comic shop in a small town, you should check it out.
Yeah. So this one was actually really nice. We pulled into Blue Ridge, Georgia, on the way back to another vineyard that was pretty close to the cabin. So pulled after that and, popped in. Nice thing about that was, there was only a couple people in it, but the guy behind the counter wore a mask the whole time. The other people wore masks. Some of the shoppers were coming out when I first came in. There was a kid wearing a mask, and mom and dad were not wearing masks, which was the second time I saw that today. There was a teenage girl, a tween girl almost, wearing a mask, and her mom and younger brother were not wearing masks in
it's interesting.
McKaysville. So, comic shop, it was a killer comic shop. It's called
Mountain Man.
Yeah, Mountain Man Comics. If you ever happen to be in the Blue Ridge area and you're into comics, I would recommend going. The nicest thing about it was their back issues. We didn't want to be inside too long again, but their back issues were all in these wooden drawers that you could
They were
rustic.
out.
Yeah, they were rustic. They were wood. Yeah, they were rustic wood, but instead of just the old crappy comic boxes that are just mashed and stuck under tables and stuff or whatever, these just seemed really nice.
The labels on them were like laser carved wood.
Yeah, that's right. They had a good
aesthetic.
Trade selection. So if you're not into normal comics but wanted to pick up some trades, they had some games. It just seemed pretty good. They
didn't have a ton of games.
Oh, they didn't. I saw a couple games off to the side.
Yeah, but it was not
pretty small.
It was not really a games and comic shop. It was definitely a comic shop.
Okay. And I forget the name of the one in Marietta that we went to a month back or whatever.
We'll tag it in the
in
the Instagram, because we are going to stop at another comic shop tomorrow.
Yeah, that one was really good. Folks were also mostly wearing masks.
That one has a very large game selection too.
Right. Their back issues were all in old
shitty boxes.
Shitty boxes, long boxes. But the one in Marietta had amazing new issue selection, just so much. The one in Blue Ridge Mountain Man, new issues didn't have a ton. They had a good selection. They seem more like a place that you'd get your pulls from if you did your stuff. So I mean, there would be someone I'd be more than happy to support if I was back up this way again. And then so we stopped at the comic shop on the way to, what was the last vineyard we went to?
Bear Claw.
Bear
Yeah.
Claw.
You know.
Yeah.
It was all right.
I would say, as far as wine goes, it was kind of like a Sven Hart's Bear Claw, a little too sweet.
I was thinking there. So we went by one called Serenberry, which was a fruit wine place. So I could not help but think of Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek and her awesome commercial.
Yeah.
Herb Ertlinger wines.
Yeah.
So maybe we should have stopped there just so we could make some more Schitt's Creek jokes.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Would have been nice people. It would have been
I'm
good.
sure.
Instead, we went to a place that it felt like a vineyard that is near a tourist town in the mountains, and it was okay. We had a nice picnic table.
Yeah, there was
outside.
plenty of outdoor space.
But again, no one working there had masks on. It was really people in North Georgia.
Yeah.
We've been really impressed with Atlanta. We were out for a walk last weekend before, and like I'd say 80 to 90% of people had masks on.
Just even on the street. I mean, like outdoors, indoor places. Yeah, everywhere.
So we'll see. I mean, I know we're all really tired of this crap and everything, but I don't know. It just seems
so I was thinking,
prudent.
Like, the other thing that other podcasts do, and that we do as we travel, is read books and listen to podcasts. So I thought I would throw out some recommendations, since that's especially what we do when we come to cabins, is we read books, and as we drive here, we listen to podcasts. Yeah. So I will say we listened to the How Did This Get Made episode on Vampire's Kiss, which sounds like a bonkers Nick Cage movie.
Nick Cage, 80s.
Yeah, 1989. It sounds completely insane. So that was a pretty fun episode to listen to.
Yeah.
What books or podcasts do you want to
Oh, I mean, the other
recommend?
podcast we listened to on the way up here was not a podcast I've listened to before, one you've been listening to and said you've got a love-hate relationship with it, which is the Bad Books for Bad People. And we listened to one about
Dragonlance, which is the novelization of
D&D.
Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. So that was kind of fun.
That was fun.
It
made me miss D&D a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a love-hate relationship with that podcast. But I will say, like, if you are a person who doesn't necessarily, I mean, because the Dragonlance book was, I think, probably an objectively badly written book. Some of the books that they talk about are better written, but with, like, sort of weird and trashy subject matter. And they talk about a lot of 19th century stuff. So if you're a person who's into 19th century literature for whatever reason, or even aren't, and just like to hear people talk about it,
There's that.
Yeah, love-hate.
Yeah, those are the only two podcasts we've listened to. I mean, I listened to some other ones, but we didn't listen to any of my podcasts on this one, but I mostly listened to bull crap about Japan. I don't know, I'm reading Gideon the Ninth as far as books go.
So am I.
It's pretty good. You're also reading Gideon Falls.
I am. Gideon Falls, which is a comic, which is great. Highly recommend.
Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, Jeff Lemire. I highly recommend both Gideon the Ninth and Gideon Falls. So if you want to get your Gideon on.
Gideon your get on.
Gideon your get on.
Yeah.
You've got options.
All right. So we were going to record a podcast today about traveling without a car, traveling using public transit. Since we're not quite traveling yet. I mean, obviously we are traveling because we're outside of home at the moment.
But we definitely aren't using public transit for right now.
Yeah, no, I feel bad. We are paying for public transit. Thank you for continuing to pay for our monthly pass for no good reason. Yeah.
But that's still in the pipes. Probably the next one will be traveling without a car or traveling using public transit.
So, but yeah, thanks for sticking with us this year. This might probably be our last episode of the year. We got 11 episodes under our belt this year. We missed October, I think.
Well, we might do our public transit one before the end of the year.
Okay.
We can hit 12.
Yeah, it's hard to believe last year we did 20 episodes, but we had like 6 episodes in Japan. If you're interested in learning about Japan travel and traveling by train, you should go check
lots
out
of
our
public
archives.
transit.
We also
Commentary
did a
there.
couple on London when we spent some time in London last year. Wow, we got so lucky last year. Opportunities to travel.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we've done our best this year, but it's definitely driving places, Airbnbs. We're planning a whole like Airbnb kitchen essentials travel box that we will tell you about once we put it together.
Yeah. So if you want to reach out to us, you can check us at, there's the outro has some of this information too, but rainitin@ssdpress.org if you want to send us an email. That's REINITIN at ssdpress.org. Tell us what you would pack in your Airbnb kitchen essentials kit. Tell us what you've been doing to stay sane throughout COVID. And hopefully you've all been safe. You can also check us out on Instagram and Facebook. I don't even remember what the hell we are. We're
Rainitin _ Matt and Rachel.
Rainitin _ podcast.
Rainitin _ podcast. That's right.
Instagram, I think, and Rainitin - podcast on Facebook. But more than anything, find us on your favorite app and subscribe.
Thanks for listening.
And
happy holidays in case we don't hear from you before the end of the year. In case you don't hear from us. We don't really hear from you.
No. See ya. Thanks. Happy holidays. You can check us out at anchor.fm/rainitin. That's spelled REINITIN, all one word, no spaces, and you can leave us a message there. You can also follow us at Instagram at rainitin _ podcast or email us at rainitin@ssdpress.org, also spelled REINITIN at ssdpress.org. Thanks again to all of our friends and family for all the support and for putting up with us. Have a great day.